This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Hey, good morning. Welcome on into the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Hey, I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason. Welcome on. It's 10:30. It's a weekday. I'm great to be here with you in the podcast center. Hey, happy Thursday here to you. Again, I am meteorologist Evan Thomason, Morning Met here at KSLA News 12. Hope you've enjoyed Jake and CJ over the past 2 days. They've been doing a fantastic job over the past few weeks. I also want to commend Jake because he's just recently taken up kind of the one of the hosts as one of the hosts of this First Alert with a Breakdown here for you over the past 2 to 3 weeks. And obviously his coverage of the whole team's coverage over the ice storm that happened about a week and a half ago now was absolutely tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. So I want to compliment all of them for their hard work on that. And speaking of that, that's part of what we are doing here for the day today. We are talking all about the ice storm, recapping that, and what better way to do that than actually bringing in someone out of the National Weather Service who we will speak to in just a little bit. But for the meantime, hey, we are going to go over the forecast here for you, and everything is trending in the opposite direction. In fact, it's kind of wacky how rapid changes happen in the Arklatex. You know, this weekend we're nearing highs around almost 80 degrees. We might even approach that as soon as tomorrow. And for some of us around the Arklatex, you don't even know a major ice storm hit about 2 weeks ago, if you ask some of us. So the point is, hey, it has been quite the turnaround here for us heading into the next couple of days, where we will turn sweater weather into sweating weather. And for us. So hopefully you got your t-shirt and shorts ready, because it's going to be quite the temperature change here from even just this morning. We woke up to 20s and 30s. And again, we might reach 80 tomorrow. Kind of bonkers to think about, honestly, on the grand scale of things. But anyways, let's get you into your Mattress Plus Skycam out into Shreveport, Louisiana here for you. Again, there's a look, a beautiful blue skies and sunshine there for you. That is nice to see on top of downtown Shreveport. So, hey, hopefully you're getting out and about, enjoying the beautiful conditions that we have out and about. If you missed them today, though, hey, don't worry. We do have plenty of sunshine abound here for you over the next couple of days that we're going to go to right in store onto this First Alert with a Breakdown full forecast here for you. So, Window World Skycam out into Texarkana. Same thing. Barely see any cloud cover out and about. And that's going to be also kind of what we're going on the pace of here over the next couple of days, too. Now, I'm not expecting anything of cloud cover to build until next week. Here's your weather headlines here for you overall. Today, cooler. If you had to describe it, especially comparing it to the next couple of days coming on up. Cooler day with some sunshine. It's certainly cool out right now. We'll get into those actual temperatures here in just a moment. As for the weekend, the only thing that really changes is the temperatures. A rapid warm-up is on the way here over the next couple of days for the most part, where we see a lot more t-shirt and shorts weather coming into the Arklatex here for you. And those of you watching out for when the rain is going to come on back, well, I think we have that answer for you. We're starting to see some signs growing of some rain chances here somewhere around next week. There's still a little bit of question marks as to when that could exactly happen in time. I'm watching out for more towards the middle to end of next week with two separate systems, but we'll see. And that's something we can more focus on early next week and kind of time that out a lot more in particular, say on like Monday of next week. And that'll also still contain in some warm temperatures for you then too. Hey, temperatures out right now are in the mid to upper 40s. It's 48 in Shreveport, 49 into Texarkana. Nobody's reached 50 yet, but you should be shortly. Again, we were just in the 20s and 30s about 2 to 3 hours ago. So, case in point, temperatures are rapidly increasing here for the day today. And it's a big temperature switcheroo here over the next several hours, where temperatures by lunchtime should definitely be in the 50s. Then that's an increase of 10 degrees within the next hour or two, which is going to be impressive here for you. And we get into the low to mid 60s here by the heat of the afternoon. Now, heat is probably a word I'm going to be bringing back into your forecast here over the next little while, because we have a very warm pattern for us that's going to be ahead for you. We got a nice high pressure system that's settling into the Arklatex here. That's going to be giving us winds, not only giving us dry conditions, but giving us winds out of the south, continuing to ramp up really warm temperatures here coming out of Texas, Mexico, that will be giving our highs 10 to 15 degrees above average. Hey, that's going to be impressive enough when you do that just one day in February. But when you do that for multiple days, that makes it even more of an impressive stretch of days that's going to happen in the Arklatex, and that's why that's kind of our main weather headline moving in for especially the weekend festivities, where you get to be a lot more comfortable out, and as I said earlier, plenty of days where you're going to need T-shirt and shorts. So probably dust that out of the closet, maybe get it out of whatever areas you're storing your T-shirt and shorts. If you put it into hibernation, take it out, essentially, here over the next couple of days. For today alone, though, probably still need some sleeves. Temperatures only getting into the mid-60s. Yeah, that's still impressive, again, from a turnaround where we had temperatures in the 20s and 30s earlier this morning. 65 in a Marshall, 63 in a Center, 66 into Dangerfield. Across northwest Louisiana, temperatures off in the low to mid-60s here for the day today. Maybe Bienville only reaching 59, especially the farther west you are. Kind of the warmer you'll be, but even then it's just a tiny warm difference essentially between East Texas and Northwest Louisiana. And you'll especially see that here for tomorrow. My goodness, some high temperatures reaching up tomorrow up into the lower 80s. That's about a 10 to 15 degree temperature change even from that of today. A rapid temperature warm-up where some of you working out tomorrow afternoon might need a good water bottle, a good refresher. And again, certainly T-shirt and shorts weather is not going to be jacket weather by any means here for Friday afternoon. That is going to be incredibly impressive. And to be fair, we taper off that high at least a little bit into this coming weekend. It's a little bit of a weak cool front coming on through here for the weekend. Now, I know what you're thinking when I say the word front. That does not mean rain. We'll get into the actual sky kind of forecast later on, what's going on with our conditions. But as for the temperatures, those will be cooling off at least a little bit here for your Saturday, down to highs in the mid to maybe upper 60s potentially. We'll see. Then those highs, though, will quickly recover back into the 70s as soon as we get into the next day, Sunday, and most of next week, not just Monday. Looking to feature high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. And guess what? It's not only your afternoons, too. It's also your mornings. Keep that in mind, too. Again, you woke up to 20s and lower 30s. Even Shreveport reached down to a morning low this morning of 28 degrees. Look at the next 5 days. We're not getting anything close to that mark anytime soon. 40s starting tomorrow as soon as we get into Friday morning. That carries on for a few days and throughout your weekend mornings. But even look at that for next week. Morning lows only getting down to the 50s. That'll actually be kind of light hoodie weather, light jacket weather only for the start to your work and school day. Again, making things a little more comfortable around the region here in the middle of February. I wouldn't call, again, winter over. It is only February 5th, but I think you say what trend we're going in over the next several days. Now, part of the reason, again, for having such warm temperatures in the Arklatex is winds coming out of the south, but also what doesn't hurt is continued sunshine, day in, day out. That's going to be with us. I mean, there's not going to be much in terms of rain at all in the short-term future track. And keep in mind, this short-term future track also goes over cloud cover, and that's also going to be a rare commodity around here over the next several days here for you, at least through the weekend days. If you want to go into our long-range future track, this does help us trek out to the actual next major rain chance, which, again, does not happen through the rest of the work week. Does not happen through the weekend itself. It's not until we get into next work week we'll start building on maybe a little more consistent rain chances in for you then. The long-range future track here kind of pinpoints our next rain chance somewhere around Wednesday of next week. But I have seen a spare few weather models maybe trying to sneak in a little bit of rain into Tuesday, especially in areas like Texarkana. We'll see, and we'll keep you first alert. Kind of the disagreement between the weather models kind of means some form of moisture and maybe a little bit of cloud cover and maybe a little bit of rain is obviously coming in, but obviously can't agree on the exact timing of the storms at this point in time. So, again, watch out for early next week, and then we'll see whether it's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday that gets in on the rain chance. But I will say, real quick, I'm expecting another separate round of storms, potentially around Friday or Saturday. That is of next work week, not this week. This week, next 4 to 5 days is still amazing. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal around the Arklatex here for you, especially lots of events coming up. Mardi Gras in town, Curve Centaur, you're going down to that, 3 p.m. on Saturday. KSLA is going to have full coverage on that as well. That'll be pretty cool. If you want to watch that on our live stream, ksla.com, where if where you might be watching this live stream now. Temperatures in the 60s. We've cooled the temperatures off just a little bit from the original predictions of what we expected here for this coming Saturday. So you might need sleeves, but hey, plentiful sunshine, blue skies. That's going to be phenomenal to enjoy all the parade festivities. In fact, the first bit of Crew Centaur's extravaganza starts tonight with the ball. It gets just a little cool for that, but overall we are dry again for the rest of the work week and through the weekend. Super Bowl Sunday also looking fantastic. If anything, it gets a little warmer. Highs are in the mid-70s for you then, and might be warm enough to make a nice barbecue. Still have some football-type weather around here for the last football day on the calendar for a while here on Sunday. Again, high of 75 degrees, no rain at all for your weekend festivities. That is going to be phenomenal. Chef's kiss here for you. 7-day forecast. Here it is in your entirety. This is our last weather graphic here for you. 63 degrees for a high today, and that is as cool as our high temperatures get across the next 7 days. Overall, 5 out of the next 6 days after today feature high temperatures above 70 degrees. Again, watch those mornings, 40s and 50s, especially 50s heading into next work week for morning lows. We don't see the 20s and 30s of this morning anytime soon. This is going to be gone for a while, at least in a hibernation. We'll see whether or not it's for good. Well, I don't know about that much, but anyways, sun is going to be out and about here for the next 4 to 5 days before we talk about rain chances coming in. Again, I'm watching out for 2 separate rain chances next week. One's going to come either Tuesday or Wednesday. That's why we're keeping that rain chance low on both days. Not really sure which day it's going to be a little more prominent on at this point in time. But watching out for a separate second system coming in somewhere around late next week as well. So a little more rain chances maybe creeping in here for, again, next week. But everything's calm and out and about here throughout the day today, which is fantastic to see and giving us a nice break for not just me, but also Matt Hemingway, who we are going to speak to after a quick commercial break that we'll toss it to out right now after out at this point in time. Again, we'll talk with Matt from the National Weather Service right after a quick commercial break. See y'all on the other side. Welcome back to the First Hour Weather Breakdown. Again, I'm meteorologist Evan Thomas, and thank you very much for joining us here for the day today. Usually once per week, we like to get an interview person in, get some outside resources in, and also just stay connected around our community here for you. And especially after this past major winter storm, not only have we at KSLA News 12 been obviously incredibly busy, and I wouldn't say in hibernation, but we've been trying to, recover on a little bit of some off time here for you. I bet someone who's been doing more of the same of that is the man across me. We're joining in Matt Hemingway. Welcome on in to the Weather Podcast, and thank you for coming to KSLA News 12 in person.
Happy happy National Weather Person's Day.
Yes. Yes. Happy National Weather Person's Day to you as well.
It's a good day to bring somebody from the office.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Do you have, just for National Weather Person Day, I was about to post this on my own social media as well, just real quick, and it's something I also like to wish for Happy National Weather Person's Day. It is not just the people on camera, but obviously the people behind the scenes. For me, I graduated from Florida State back in 2021, so go Noles, but where are you from?
Yeah, so most of the most of the meteorologists in our office, I would say at least half, maybe slightly more than half, graduated from ULM. So we're nearby Monroe, Louisiana. I'm originally from the Shreveport area, though. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So this is like a homecoming for you.
Yeah, so we've got a good contingent of forecasters from ULM graduated there, and then we've got some sprinkled across other places, including Florida State.
Nice.
We've got at least one other forecaster who graduated from Florida State. So.
Fair enough. And I should have done this earlier, just so you know, but can you pull that mic a little bit closer to you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That'll work.
Sorry.
Perfect. No, it's all good. I still could hear you. Just,
okay.
All
right. I can lean in a little bit.
We do some things on the spot. We do some things on the spot.
That's fine.
But anyways, thank you very much. So obviously, major winter storm happened about a week and a half ago, and just real quick, you wouldn't even notice it if it weren't for the 60s and 70s. Have been around for now, but obviously a week and a half ago, everything kind of broke down, and you were just talking to me heading into this podcast as well. One of the things we saw was about the system was we saw it well in advance, like 5 to 6 days in advance. In fact, just real quick, our own chief meteorologist, Matt Jones, kind of declared a first solar weather day for this event like 4 to 5 days in advance, which was kind of impressive for us to do and already gain certainty that this was actually going to happen. So how did that certainty kind of come out and about from you guys' standpoint?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I worked on Sunday, January, I think it was the 18th. So it was the Sunday before the MLK holiday. It was my last day shift before I was supposed to have a few days off. And I was doing the forecast that morning, and right around lunchtime, we started getting the new model data coming in, and we usually have our forecast out by that time. And I was noticing the remarkable consistency among all of the models that I was looking at about this major Arctic air intrusion, and then we had, in addition to that, set up for a lot of moisture return coming back north from the Gulf and the Pacific. So a combination of very cold air moving south out of Canada, like a really strong Arctic high, and then moisture, and those two things combining together at the same time, which is almost always indicative of a potential major winter storm here in our area. So all those signs were pointing to, hey, this is unusual to see this much consistency 5, 6, 7 days in advance. And so from that point on, we kind of really started to hone in on the possibility of a major winter storm event. So that following day, the holiday, Monday, which I was scheduled to be off, I went in to assist our other forecasters with kind of getting things rolling as far as graphics to advertise, hey, we think this winter storm event is not only a possibility now, but we're more confident that it's pretty much I don't want to say a certainty at that point, but we were very confident that it was going to result in a very impactful event. And then our confidence just got higher and higher as the week progressed, and we started doing daily special briefings, and those are really for a lot of our partners, which include the broadcast media, but we also have emergency managers, school officials, Department of Transportation, all these other people who are dependent on what we have to say about what the weather is going to be as far as school closures, road closures, and all those things. So, but yeah, it definitely was unusual that we had as high a confidence as we had as far out in advance as we did.
That was wild. Obviously, when something pops up in like kind of the weather models like 2 weeks out, you're kind of like, not sure about that. But then when it reaches that week time frame, especially because you were talking about, you sometimes when you just see one or two models mentioning it, you're like, okay, I'm not so sure about this. But then multiple, because there's several weather models out there. When they all come into agreement, that's when we're like, when they all shake hands, essentially, that's when it gets to the nitty gritty. And unfortunately, comes into consensus that something historic was really happening, which it
Right.
ended up coming into fruition. But you kind of mentioned some of your partnerships about everybody you talk out to, which an incredible job out to you guys. Obviously, school officials, emergency management, departments of transportation out in multiple states. Obviously,
Right.
this is one of the most difficult DMAs, in my opinion, to be able to do because you have parishes and counties that you got to remember which
Yes.
are which. But essentially, just phenomenal to be able to reach out to them. And something I saw from my standpoint, which was something that you probably helped enforce, was schools being closed already for next week, and they were already telling out these. They were already calling out these these school closures and road closures as soon as like Friday, Thursday, before the storm even ramped up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think a lot of those decisions, early decisions, speak to, again, our high confidence that this was going to happen. Also, that the freezing temperatures that were accompanying this winter precip, and the fact that temperatures were only expected to get colder as the event went on, was just really not going to allow for any melting to happen, at least for the first few days of the following week. And what we ended up seeing was, most of the schools stayed closed almost the entire week, I think, because of the slow melting, roads not being able to be cleared completely, although I know the DOT was doing a great job in trying to clear as many roads as they could. But, with the slow melting that we saw, and this, what I was trying to explain to people is this wasn't like fluffy snow that typically is going to melt away much faster. This was compacted ice. You think of it like, layers and layers of ice basically just compacted together. It was more or less like, think of a large ice cube that's, melting from the outside in slowly. And with how much sleet we had and how thick the ice, once it compacted, I mean, it was like a solid, just thick sheet. And it takes time for that to melt away, even with temperatures several degrees above freezing, even with a lot of sunlight. That's why it took as long as it did. In fact, I think we finally have just about melted everything. But
finally,
there were a few days where I was still seeing it, and I'm thinking, why are we still seeing this?
50s and 60s were still around, and yet it wasn't fully thawing out, so to speak.
Right.
That was one of the questions I wanted to get to is during the main event, how much exactly did we accumulate in so many various spots around the Arklatex?
Yeah.
I even remember seeing areas in the southern edge of the Arklatex, Sabine, Natchitoches, getting knocked out of power, even with just the ice that they had alone.
Well, we talked about the high confidence of the forecast. What I will say is, yes, we were confident that there was going to be a high impact winter event.
Yes.
Where our confidence wasn't as high is what type of precipitation and which precipitation type was going to be the dominant precipitation type.
To be fair, that's one of the most difficult parts about forecasting.
It is
period.
so difficult here, especially in our part of the country, because you get these cold air masses that come down, from Canada, and they're very dense. So that cold air sinks down to the surface, and it's heavy, it's cold, and it's right at the ground level. But as you go a few thousand feet in the air, the temperature actually gets warmer and ends up giving us sleet or freezing rain, which was what we saw. So you ask about accumulations. The general range that I saw for the most part along I-20 was about 3 inches on average, but we did have some areas that saw 5 to 6 inches of sleet, which is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of sleet.
Wow.
Which, again, speaks to why it took as long as it did for it to melt away. But we also had freezing rain amounts on the, I guess, order of maybe a quarter inch. And people don't think, a quarter inch, that doesn't sound like much. But when you're talking about ice on trees, tree limbs, power lines, that actually is a lot of ice.
A lot of weight.
Weighs down those trees and power lines. So we did have some amounts upwards of 3/4 to maybe even close to an inch of ice on trees and power lines. You kind of had to go over closer to like Monroe to get those higher amounts. So that's why they had as many power outages.
That's
over
what I was
there.
going to mention. Yeah.
People don't. I don't know if everybody realized we actually were very fortunate in that we saw mostly sleet here and less freezing rain, because the power outages did happen kind of sporadically in northwest Louisiana.
Yeah.
But you go into northeast Louisiana and Mississippi, northern Mississippi,
Yep.
far worse situation, even up into like Nashville.
I mean, there's still some without power as we are
right.
speaking, and this was a week and a half ago.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people here probably can recall major ice storm events that we had in past decades, but we haven't had a really significant ice storm really in a couple of decades, like what we're talking about in parts of Mississippi and northeast Louisiana. So be glad we got as much sleet as we did, and we got very little. Well, some areas saw more than others, but not as much freezing rain as we could have gotten.
The roads were still pretty bad, especially for multiple days. As we mentioned, it took several days just for the temperatures to reach above freezing.
Right.
Thankfully, most of the major roadways were kind of cleared out by Wednesday, but even then, I mean, roads were pretty much impassable for the end of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Just a whole stretch of days where you kind of just reminded me of COVID in a way, just stuck and bunkered down at home.
Yeah, and I don't think it's always easy for people to understand. Driving on fresh sleet and snow is when it's easiest. The longer it's on the ground, the more it gets turned up by the tires, and it refreezes, it melts and refreezes. That's when it gets more treacherous, because it's not a uniform surface. Meaning, like when the sleet is initially falling, they're just sleet pellets. But once you melt that sleet down and then it refreezes, that's when it turns into like an ice rink. So it's kind of later on in the event when the road conditions really deteriorated. So the initial onset of the sleet, probably not as big of a deal, but the days following, you're just turning all that moisture over. It melts, and then at night, with the temperatures getting back down to teens and 20s, it's refreezing over and over again. And that process just plays out over and over until we get temperatures comfortably above freezing, which, again, took several days.
Jeez, wow. Yeah, I remember travel being just incredibly slow if you were happening and trying to go out anywhere. So, obviously, it just a historic system, obviously, that lasted several days. Obviously, you and I, both of our teams were kind of around the clock. Just obviously here at the workstation, it was kind of just to hunker down into place with most of our meteorologists. One or two of them were staying in the station. We had several reporters also sleep here with kind of food that was bundled up for us. It just out of curiosity for you guys, obviously you're right next to the airport and in your own little bunker there. Did you have to bunker down, take in some supplies, sleep at the station? Do you have the kind of protocol was kind of set up for you guys?
Yeah, and I'll say that the storm we had in February of 2021 that everybody here that lived here at the time easily can recall, that was sort of our first event like that where we had to pre-plan and stage supplies at the office. We had a group of forecasters who were dedicated to staying in the office or in a nearby hotel, just because there was no way people were getting in and home and back once the event started. So yeah, we had forecasters who were staying overnight in our building or at the hotel just down the street, which we were able to get to since it was very close.
Yes.
But yeah, you basically plan days in advance and plan for several days of operating in that kind of environment. And it worked out well. The team that we had in the office that was dedicated to working the shifts in the office, everybody made it work. And
nice.
We had food, supplies, water, everything. Really planning for the worst, I guess. With losing.
That's what you always do.
Losing in the February 21 event, we lost water for several days, and so we planned for that. Luckily, that didn't happen this time. But we were ready for whatever Mother Nature was going to throw our way. So
fair enough. Well, I think we can safely say we've gotten through it now.
Yeah.
Finally, took long enough. I think my last question to you is: we still have a good amount of winter left. It's only February 5th. Obviously, this kind of an ice storm was historic to its own measure. But do you see any type of kind of wintry precipitation maybe coming back in here? Because I remember last year, real quick, we had kind of two systems graze the Arklatex. We had a system to the north, which gave us a little bit of snow, and then there was the historic snowstorm, which mainly hit New Orleans. It just barely grazed like Natchitoches in the southern. Do you foresee anything on the horizon on that measure?
Yeah, nothing in the immediate, 10 days to 2 weeks out right now. It looks like our trends are going to be above normal temperatures. We could use some rain. We are still in a drought. People may not realize that because it's a colder time of year. You aren't really thinking drought because we're not in the heat of the summer. But these are the months where we really need the rain to really build up that surplus. Because when we get into the summertime, rain is a lot less likely over longer periods of time. So, but with the warming temperatures, that also leads us into eventually the springtime that is not far away. And when we start to ramp these temperatures into the 70s and 80s, eventually that's going to spell trouble when it comes to severe weather chances. So at this point, I would say our chances of more winter weather are low, but certainly not zero. Now that we're still basically another month out from winter being over in a sense. But springtime is near, and better start thinking about the severe weather
tornadic activity,
that kind of stuff too, because you don't get into the 80s this time of year without trouble for very long. We're going to have fronts move our way. We're going to have cold air trying to overtake that warm air that's trying to compete. We're getting into that time where it's the competition between which air mass is going to win out. And as we get into March, certainly that'll become even more of an issue as we get into our peak of severe weather season.
Gotcha.
But don't count winter out just yet.
I'll put it on standby at least for now.
Right.
But especially with 80s popping up maybe for tomorrow. That's kind of tis the season to think about how, because again, the warm air, especially at the surface, can really fuel some strong thunderstorms in some of those systems ahead. But anyways, thank you very much for joining me, Matt.
Yeah,
absolutely. I really appreciate it here for the day today.
Thanks for the invitation.
Of course. Hey, and thank you for watching the First Alert Weather Breakdown. I really appreciate it here for the day today. I'll be back on tomorrow, same time, same place at 10:30. We are going to go over your regional weekend forecast here for you over the next couple of days for those of you traveling outside of the Arklatex, going out to Dallas, New Orleans. We always kind of tailor you out beyond the Arklatex and give you an exclusive look to what's going on regionally here for the weekend, which, hey, there's sunshine here for this weekend in the Arklatex. Hopefully there's some pretty much everywhere around here, which I believe is the case. We'll see. We'll double-check that tomorrow. But anyways, thank you for watching the First Alert Weather Breakdown here for the day today. I'm meteorologist Evan Thomas, and you have a great rest of your Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow. Be there, be square, and most importantly, stay weather aware. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.